Ever scrolled through like an endless feed of social media or like snagged a deal online?
Yeah,
You're interacting with a database.
absolutely.
They're kind of the silent workhorses behind so much of what we do online.
Yeah, they are.
Today, we're taking you behind the scenes to demystify a crucial part of that.
Okay.
MySQLi SELECT queries.
Right.
And to guide us through the code, we've got some great examples from plus2net.com,
Yeah.
a popular resource for web developers.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll walk away understanding not just what the code does,
Right.
but how those choices impact your website's functionality.
Yeah.
And importantly,
Mm.
its security.
Yeah, super important.
Yeah.
Security is paramount when it comes to databases.
Okay.
Imagine for a moment someone could tamper with those Amazon searches we talked about, leading you to fake products or even worse.
Yikes. Definitely don't want that.
No.
So where do we even begin?
Well, it all starts with the select query,
Okay.
the foundation of retrieving data.
Okay.
Think of it like this. You want to find a specific book in a massive library.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't just start grabbing books randomly, would you?
Chaos in the library?
Right.
Not a good look.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The select query is how you tell the database exactly what you're looking for.
Okay.
Plus2net gives us a simple example.
Okay.
Select id, name, class, mark from student.
Okay.
You're telling the database to fetch specific information.
Right.
The ID, name, class, and mark
Gotcha.
from a table called student.
So instead of aimlessly wandering the library,
Yeah.
you're handing the librarian a precise request.
Precisely. This targeted approach is far more efficient, especially when dealing with massive data sets.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've got our basic request,
All right.
but the plus2net folks are big on something called prepared statements
Yes.
and say it's crucial for security.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Imagine you're writing a letter,
Mm-hmm.
but instead of sealing it in an envelope, you leave it open for anyone to read. Or even worse, alter the contents before it reaches its destination.
Oh, okay. That's a recipe for disaster.
Or
Who
you-
knows what kind of misinformation could be added?
Exactly. That's essentially what can happen without prepared statements.
Okay.
Directly inserting values into your SQL queries is like leaving your database vulnerable to something called SQL injection.
Okay.
Imagine a malicious actor slipping harmful code into your seemingly harmless data request.
Right.
So instead of fetching data,
Yeah.
they could potentially rewrite your website content or, even worse, steal sensitive information.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So instead of fetching data, they could potentially rewrite your website content.
Right.
Or even worse, steal sensitive information.
Exactly.
So prepared statements are like sealing your data requests in a secure envelope.
Yes.
Okay.
You're essentially creating a template with placeholders.
Yeah.
So any values you insert are treated separately from the query itself.
Gotcha. And this is where binding parameters comes in, right?
Yeah.
Plus2net shows how to use bind param to securely insert those values into the prepared statement.
Precisely.
Okay.
Binding parameters is like putting the right addresses on those envelopes,
Oh, okay.
ensuring each piece of data goes exactly where it's supposed to go securely.
Okay, so no more sticky notes with passwords on the monitor, thankfully.
Exactly.
But once we've made our secure request with the select query and prepared statements, how do we actually receive and use the data?
That's where fetching methods come into play.
Okay.
Plus2net walks us through a couple of options like fetch a sock and fetch object,
Right.
each with its own use cases.
So it's like choosing the best delivery method. Do you want your package bundled up and ready to unpack or delivered straight to your doorstep?
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
So fetch a sock gives you an associative array,
Right.
which is perfect if you want your data organized neatly by keys and values, ideal for displaying data in a structured format.
Okay.
Think tables or lists on a website.
Okay. And fetch object, when would you choose that option?
Fetch object is your friend if you prefer working with objects,
Okay.
which can be more intuitive in object-oriented programming.
Right.
Imagine building a user profile where each user's data is treated as a distinct object.
Mm-hmm.
Fetch object keeps things nice and tidy.
Plus2net provides code snippets for both so you can see how these methods work in action.
Right.
Speaking of code, let's talk about error handling.
Okay.
Even the most seasoned developers run into the occasional hiccup.
Yeah, for sure.
And Plus2net, thankfully, didn't skip over this crucial step.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Error handling is non-negotiable when building robust applications.
Right.
Plus2net uses a try-catch block.
Hmm.
which is a fundamental concept in programming.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's like having a safety net for your code, right?
exactly.
You're prepared if something unexpected happens.
Precisely.
Okay.
The try part is where you execute your code.
Right.
If everything goes smoothly,
Yeah.
fantastic. But if an error occurs, instead of crashing, your code gracefully transitions to the catch block.
And that's where you can handle the error appropriately, whether it's logging it for debugging,
Right.
displaying a user-friendly message, or trying an alternative approach,
You got it.
right? It's the difference between a website that crashes and burns when encountering a problem
Exactly.
and one that says, oops, something went wrong, but we're on it.
Exactly.
Plus, 2Net even provides an example of using MySQL exception, which is super helpful for handling MySQL-specific errors.
For sure.
It's like having a specialized error decoder ring. It's like they've anticipated those, wait, why isn't this working moments we've all experienced.
Literally.
Kudos to Plus2Net for giving us the tools to troubleshoot effectively.
For sure.
So we've covered a lot of ground here for our listeners who are just getting their feet wet with databases. What's the key takeaway from all of this?
Even if the code seems a bit intimidating at first glance, understanding these core concepts of MySQL SELECT queries is incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. You're not just copying and pasting code from a tutorial. You're making informed decisions that directly impact how your website functions and how secure it is.
You're basically a digital architect, but instead of blueprints in concrete, you're using code to build the backbone of your online creation.
Precisely. And like any good architect, you'll want to explore all the tools at your disposal. Looking back at those Plus2Net examples, we see how to select specific data and filter by things like class and markup. But what are some other ways you, our listener, could filter or sort that data?
Ooh, good question. It's like having a superpower to sift through mountains of information and extract exactly what you need.
Exactly. Could you use where clauses to find students with a specific name?
Oh,
Or combine conditions to get even more refined results? There's a whole world of possibilities within those queries waiting to be discovered.
so many ways to unlock the power of databases for anyone listening who's ready to dive deeper. Where should they go?
Plus2net.com is a fantastic resource, and we highly recommend checking out their full range of tutorials. They've done a great job of breaking down complex concepts into digestible chunks.
Couldn't agree more. A huge thank you to plus2net.com for providing the source material for this deep dive. And to you, our listeners, keep experimenting, keep learning, and remember, even the most seasoned developers started right where you are now, curious and eager to explore the world of code. Until next time, happy coding.